Hey guys, it's Alyssa from AlyssaNalani.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is very special as it is a part of the 25 Days of Planner Tips collaboration hosted by Tamra, the paper and pen girl. This is the 6th year that Tamra has hosted this collaboration, and I don't know about you, but a lot of us in the planner world look forward to this every December because it is such a great way to cap off a year of planning and kick off a new year of planning. And so if this has not yet become a part of your yearly planning ritual, then I highly suggest you jump on this bandwagon because there are so many videos, so many great videos made, so many great tips shared, so much inspiration and motivation to help you restart or recalibrate, to get focused, to get clarity, to maybe get suggestions for maybe a different method or whatnot. Whatever you're looking for, this collaboration is a great resource to use if you're just needing some extra help in your planning life. So definitely check out all of the videos that have come before mine in this collaboration. There are a lot of them because we're now at the tail end of the run, but also take a look at past years. Full disclosure, I actually went back on my channel and just kind of watched little snippets of some of the videos I've made for the collab, and oh my goodness, you all, it's so grounding and refreshing and fun to kind of take a trip down memory lane and see how you've grown and how some things have changed and some things have not. And it's fun. So if you want to take a trip down memory lane with me and watch past collaboration videos, go for it. There's so many things that you can learn from all of the great people who have shared over the past years. So anyway, take advantage of it. And have fun with it. I also want to thank Tamra for once again being such a gracious host and for inviting me back to participate again in this project. It's so much fun and I'm so humbled and so grateful to be a part of such a great lineup of creators who get to talk planners with you. All right, having said all that, I'm ready. If you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Now, in case you didn't know, every year the collaboration works off a particular theme. And this year's theme is all about getting from planned to done. Now, it doesn't matter how long you've been planning, whether it's been many years or you're just getting started and you're still kind of figuring your way through it. But getting from planned to done is kind of the point, right? This is why we do what we do and why it's important to us. We want to get things done. We want to accomplish things. We want to move the needle forward. We want to make sure we're going in the right direction. We want to figure out which best practices and habits and rituals will serve us in whatever season of life we're in. We want to be efficient and productive, do good work, make a difference, and just create better lives for ourselves and our families. These are the things that matter to us, so we absolutely want to get from point A to B. Now, that journey from point A to B is going to look different for each of us because we all have different personalities, we're all shooting for or working toward different things, and we all are living in different situations or different circumstances. However, what we do hold in common is the potential to be derailed, to lose clarity or focus, to suffer from decision fatigue. And it is in that space that I want to speak into because I think one of the things that we can do to combat that is gather a set of resources. And so I'm going to talk through a process, a method that you can use for gathering resources that you can use, that you can lean on, that you can fall back on when you find yourself in a situation where you feel derailed or you've got decision fatigue or you're procrastinating or you've lost clarity. Now, if you've been following the series so far, then yesterday you were over on Saray's channel. She is at Saray Bailey, and yesterday she talked about planning your way through a slump. Now, a slump is another quite common situation that a lot of us find ourselves in where we just lose the motivation or we lose the fire, the passion to kind of keep going. And this can happen for many different reasons. I'm not going to get into that, but it can be common. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad planner. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you're human and you're dealing with life. And so, like I said, we're going to be talking about gathering your resources, and I have 3 steps to walk us through that. All right, number 1, first step in the process is simply awareness. Now, that doesn't feel very practical or tactical, but I think it's really important because you can't fix a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So if we're talking about going from plan to done, if you have a plan and you're noticing that nothing's getting done, you have to figure out where in between there is a disconnect or what's happening to impede your progress. And there could be many answers for this, but I'm just going to address one that for me tends to be the culprit. I don't know about you, but for me, what tends to impede progress or what tends to get in the way of me getting things done is simply not having information readily on hand. In other words, if I know I need to make a call, or I know I need to relay information, or I need to ask a question, or I need to perform this particular task, if I don't have the things necessary for those tasks or those actions, then it's easier for my brain to put it off till later to where I can get to that information for completing the task. Now, once my brain has checked it off and said, nope, I don't have time to, get to the next right thing to even get the thing done. Once my brain has checked that off, I quickly move to the next tasks. I go to the easiest tasks and go to them first. All the while, that unfinished task is taking up space in my brain. And my default is to then go into this negative self-talk that says, I'm lazy, I'm procrastinating, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, I'm not, you know what I mean? And it can get really dark and spiral really fast to get until I get to the point where now I'm not even motivated, or I feel really weird and funky about getting that task done in the first place. Is that resonating with anybody? I know I'm not the only one. I just don't know for how many people this is a problem. But again, just to kind of reiterate, if I don't know the next thing, or I don't have the information needed to get that next task done, my brain tables it. It's living in the back of my head. It's on the back burner somewhere behind here. I'm getting easier tasks done first, tasks that that are not met with resistance. And all the while, that negative self-talk tape is going through my head. You're procrastinating, you're lazy, you're stupid, you're not good enough. I lose the momentum, and now I don't even want to get the thing done anymore. So, what do we do about that? We become aware of the fact that the negative self-talk tape is not helping. It's not true. It's actually shooting myself in the foot, because now I'm losing the motivation to get that done, and I need to remedy that problem. So that's the awareness piece of knowing what the problem is. Now, the problem could be something else. I'm just giving you an example of what tends to be the biggest culprit for me. So having awareness of what the actual problem is, of the fact that what you're telling yourself is probably not true, and that there's actually another piece of the puzzle that you might be missing, I think is really, really important as we're moving forward to getting from planned to done. All right, step number 2. Now remember, just to kind of recap, we're talking about gathering resources so that if we find ourselves in a slump, or we've lost focus, or we need to reclarify or recalibrate, we need to make a decision, we just need to get tasks done, we have resources to fall back on and to use. So first talked about awareness. Now, number 2 is style. Now, what I mean by style is how best do you plan? Okay, so this is going to look one of 3 ways. Either you are a paper planner, a digital planner, or you are a hybrid of the 2. Now, I happen to be a hybrid, but with a focus on, or more of an emphasis on, the paper end of the spectrum. So I use mostly paper products, but I really enjoy a couple of sort of auxiliary digital tools. Now, for some of you, this is going to be a really easy, just quick assessment. Boop, 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 in your head, I know it works, I know what I like, let's move on to the next thing. Great. For some of you, it's going to be a little bit of a longer process to understand. I work really well with paper in this format, or I really work well with digital in this format, or I like these apps, or I like this paper tool, or I like this particular brand, or whatever it is. The format, the configuration, the layouts, the setups, all of these things, as I'm sure you know, go into choosing or deciding on what works best for us. So if you have a lot of experience in this area, this may not be a very long assessment. If you don't have a lot of experience and you're still trying to figure it out, take your time. Do not rush. Do not rush. Please have patience for yourself, because sometimes this takes a while. For those of us who've been in the planner world for a while, we probably went through I know I went through a process, and I know for a fact, because they've shared online, that a lot of others went through a process of figuring out what works best for them. So if you're a beginner in this whole thing, take your time. Figure out what your style is. Figure out how your brain works best with information. On paper, on a screen, writing it out, typing it out. Figure out what works best for you, because that's going to be important with step number 3. So awareness, what is the actual problem? Style, how do I work best with information? And then we're going to move on to number 3, which is all about actually building. All right, what are we building? How do we build it? I'm so glad you asked. So when I talk about building, I'm talking about actually constructing a hub of sorts where you keep all of the information on hand that you're going to need throughout the year at any given time. So this is going to include everything that you can get your hands on. Medical information, financial information, family information, contact information, home stuff, health stuff, kid stuff, spouse stuff. If you're in school or your kids are in school, you got school stuff, all of the things that make up your life, all the information that you may need at any given time, or even at scheduled times throughout the year. You know when taxes are coming. You know when the kids are going to get out of school. You know when you're probably going to schedule doctor's appointments. You know what I'm saying? Like all the stuff, scheduled or not, you're going to have a hub where you're going to keep all that information. Now, here's why knowing your style helps. You're either going to keep this information digitally or on paper. You may even, if you're like me, keep it in both of those spaces. My resource hub consists of 2 major, well, I'll say 3 major pieces. I have what I call my personal assistant, which is this personal mo term. I have a flip of this on my channel. If you haven't seen it, you can take a look. I go into detail of all the sections. So I have a personal mo term that I call my personal assistant. I have a database that I've been building out in Notion that I call my headquarters. It has the same sections in it. So my personal assistant has the same sections as my headquarters does. And then to keep actual like paperwork, I have a file cabinet for that kind of thing. I can't keep that kind of thing in this. So I have a file cabinet, I have a Notion database, that's my digital tool, and then I have my personal assistant that, like I said, you can check out the flip. I've got 6 different categories, and in here I keep a bunch of information. So my 6 categories, or I call them buckets too. You can call them buckets, categories, whatever. My 6 buckets are as follows. I have one for faith, so like my spiritual growth. I have one for my physical body, my health and wellness. I have one for family and friends and community and just relationships. I call it live well socially. So it's live well faithfully, live well physically, live well socially. Some of you all have heard me talk about these. After socially comes live well environmentally. This is my spaces and my stuff, my environment that I've created, my spaces and my stuff. This is going to include home, finances, home projects, organization, decluttering, all that kind of thing. My workspace. If I worked outside of my home, which I used to, that would include my workspace at my job. So any environment that I have any level of control over, that I impact, or that serves me in some type of way, is part of live well environmentally. And then I have live well vocationally. So that's anything work related, whether it's paid work or unpaid work. And then live well avocationally. This is going to include hobbies and recreation, but it's also going to include things that I do also to serve others. So I used to play the piano and I want to get back on that again. I feel like I've said this multiple times on my channel. Just as an update, if you've heard me say that, I still have not gotten back on the piano. It's on the list. It's something I'm working toward. But I would do this like at church, for instance, right? I sing. That's a hobby, but it's also something I do like in the ministry space. So it's not just self-serving. It's also to serve others. That's part of avocation as well. It's your secondary work. And so I have these 6 categories in my personal assistant. I have these same 6 categories in my Notion database. And so if anything comes my way, if I have a project, I know it's going to go in one of those 6 categories. If I receive information, I know it's going to go in one of these 6 categories. It's very easy to go, oh, it gets filed here, or oh, it gets filed here. Oh, I need to get that link and I need to put it here in my Notion database. Oh, I need to write that thing down in a list I have in my personal assistant. Oh, that paperwork needs to be filed in my file cabinet. It makes decision-making a whole lot easier because I'm managing the things that I do have control over. I don't have control over everything. In fact, I don't have control over most things. And the same goes for you. But the information that I do have control over, that I can sort of collect and keep in a spot, I want to be better and better and better at that. So when I'm going through the day and I'm making decisions and I'm completing tasks and I'm communicating and all the things, I know, oh, I just need to go here. Oh, that's easy. I can plop it here. Oh, here you go. Here's the information. I don't have to guess. Life is hard enough as it is. We need to find ways to lessen the chaos, to cut back on the friction, to make things less frenetic, right? We want to be able to work through things as smoothly as possible so that when things happen that are outside of our control, we can better handle it because the things within our control are locked in, right? And so that is my sort of 3-step process for you. Number 1, just be aware of what the issue is. I'm just going to say this, you're probably not. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb. I want to leave room for caveats because I want to leave room for the fact that some of us really just need to work on some stuff. You know, we're adults. We can handle the fact that we're probably not good at some stuff. That's fine. But that aside, you are not as lazy. You're not dumb. You're not stupid. You are probably more qualified and capable than you think. You have what it takes to do certain things. You may need to learn a little bit more of how to control the things that you're in control over. You may need to learn a little bit more about how to respond to things. You may need to learn about a little bit more on how to keep your emotions in check. There are probably a lot of things that you can improve on. I know that because that is true for me. But the negative self-talk reel or tape that goes on in your head is probably telling you a lot of lies about yourself. You don't need to believe those things. You can flip the script and create ways that you can receive and give and process and collect information so that when it comes time to make a decision, when it comes time to complete a task, when it comes time to do that next step in the project, when it comes time to get up out of the slump, you have at least the start of what you need to make those things happen. All right, so just to recap, number 1, be aware, figure out what the problem actually is when getting from plan to done. It might just be that you lack resources. It may just be that you don't know how to do the next right thing. It's not that you're lazy, it's not that you're stupid. You just need a little bit more information. Number 2, assess what your style is. Paper, I was about to say paper or plastic. Paper, digital, or both. And number 3, gather your resources, knowing how best you engage with information and how best you keep it. Gather your resources together, the stuff that you need to have on hand throughout the year at any given time in different areas of your life. If you'd like to use the Live Well 6 model, I write more about it on my blog. You can check it out. It's linked down below. Or if you want to use your own categories, you absolutely can. If you're a PowerSheets user, that's another great way to use categories for the different areas of your life. Figure out how best to create either physical paper buckets or digital buckets so that you can input that information so you have it at your fingertips so that when you need it, you can quickly grab it and move on to the next thing, therefore getting you closer to getting from planned to done. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments which of the 3 steps you think you might need most work in. So do you need to work more on awareness? Do you need to work more on figuring out your style? Do you need to work more on just building your resource hub or your resource center, your command center, your personal assistant, whatever you want to call it? Let me know. Let me know if you have done this and what tools you use for your personal resource center. I would love to know, and I'm sure other people would like to know what kinds of options there are and what combination of options there are if you use more than one tool. I would love to see all of this in the comments to continue the conversation and to hear what you have to say about putting together a resource center. Let me know. I'd be happy to hear from you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section. I'll be happy to help as soon as I can. If there's something else you'd like me to talk about in a future video, whether it has to do with gathering resources or anything else I may have addressed in a past video, please let me know. I'm always looking for more ideas when it comes to planner content. Make sure that you continue watching this collaboration series. Tomorrow, you're gonna wanna head over to Jess's channel. She's over at Knit Plan Jess, and she's going to be sharing her tip for how to get from planned to done. I hope that you're enjoying this series. And again, if you haven't been watching from the beginning, go all the way back to Tamra's channel. Everything is linked in the description box below. You can find all the information and watch your way through. It's great binge content, and I hope that it helps you as you are making your plans for 2024. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful holiday season, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye-bye.